How's it going, guys? Winter Kills here. Welcome back to another episode of the testing sessions, and today we're gonna be playing a classic, an oldie but a goodie, a deck that's very near and dear to me. This is a deck that I remember when the Duelist Alliance format first kicked in. Before I got into Burning Abyss, this was a deck that I really wanted to play for the longest time, and when I did play it, I enjoyed it tremendously. It was so much fun to play. And really happy that it's still a pretty decent rogue control-based strategy to this day. And obviously with the Master Rule 5 changes, it's sort of back to playing like normal. I have made some slight changes since the last deck profile. As you can see, those copies of Dark Ruler No More in the main deck, because I'm thinking, what better card can I main in a going first deck that might help against some pretty rough combo decks that we might have to face again. So yeah, that's really all I have to say. Standard Tellarknight lineup, still on the 3 Desires, the Rhoda, like I said, the Dark Lure No More, still playing the Skybridge and the all-important Call by the Graves because our effects are very crucial and do need to go through. I was a bit iffy on the Trap lineup here. As you can see, I am playing the Call of the Haunted with the addition of 1 Oasis of Dragon Souls. Thanks to some of the feedback I received on the previous Tellarknight profile. This basically means that with Resolving a Desires, the odds are extremely low of removing all of our graveyard revival traps off of the 1 Desires. Extremely low. It's banishing 4 cards, almost half of our Desires banish, our Desires cost being our revival trap. So very unlikely for that, at least in theory. I guess not even in theory, but like actually mathematically, but either way, I digress. But overall, pretty solid list. The extra deck still looking pretty much the same. Side deck looking pretty much the same. I was trying to find a way to fit Imperial Order to the main deck, but really couldn't get a way to do it. And I think Anti-Spell will suffice for now. Still on the double Compulse. I think Compulse is still a pretty good trap, specifically for removal nowadays. Yeah, that's really all I gotta say. We're gonna go ahead and try to find some matches so you guys know how the series goes. Hopefully it goes smooth. But also, real quick, I want to mention, if you guys haven't seen it already, Imperium Duelist has just come out with a brand new line of dice and stickers to go along with said dice. You guys should definitely check them out. These dice are really nice quality. They remind me of the YCS dice that are given out at events. Very high quality, themed after classic spells and traps. You guys should definitely consider picking them up at the link below, and you can use that discount code WinterKills10 off to save 10% off your entire order. And don't forget, if you're buying anything on TCG Player, do not forget to use the affiliate link down below. Alright, so it looks like we've got our first opponent here, and we'll see if we can get, as it is a problem sometimes, a full match. Obviously, we're playing Tellarknights, so we're going to want to go first, and this hand looks like we have full combo, and that full combo is going to be normaling the Stellar Uncle Eye and dumping a copy of that Deneb to the graveyard, followed by a very complicated series of events here, which is going to be setting all 4 of these back rows here, not in the same column that an Uncle Eye is, so we can play around those pesky Mech Knights. Now, obviously, I joke. We are a control deck, which is very unusual. I don't really play too many control decks, and I think this might be, I'm going to slide over a bit here, the first control deck that I've done on this series. But obviously, that's the basic gimmick. If we're not using a Nook to dump Deneb, we're using Deneb to add Altair to set up for next turn. A Nook sometimes is a little bit more relevant of a starter card because we can set up Call of the Haunted, and we can set up a Waste of the Dragon Souls. And it looks like we're actually playing against Dark Lords. I didn't set the note to meta only for this first match, and I'll probably do it for the next match or the third match, if there is a third match for this particular video. But add a Dark Lord from your deck to your hand, except Banishment of the Dark Lords. Do we want to activate anything in response here? No, we do not. Our only form of interruption currently is Solemn Judgment. Ideally, we would have, this would be like something like Star Nova Alpha. Is that the deck's main form of interruption in the form of the counter tap. This is Dark Lord of Pleasure. Very interesting. Discard normal special, you can activate this effect. You cannot activate monster effects this turn except fairy monsters. So let's take 2 Dark Lord monsters at different levels. This seems like a pretty good card. I don't know too much about Dark Lords. That may have been the complete wrong time to go ahead and activate Solemn Judgment. But it's his normal summon. It seems pretty good, and we're gonna go. He's gonna go right to the end phase, and that's gonna allow us to do exactly what we want to do: is to use Call of the Haunted if he doesn't have DD Crow to bring back Deneb, or he has Called by the Grave. But I think actually if we burn here our Oasis of the Dragon Souls and retarget this, we'll be able to get our effect, which is all fine and dandy. And what I'm going to use here is not going to grab Altair, rather, although we could. We very well could. I'm going to grab another copy of Anunculi for next turn, and we'll see what we get. We'll see what we get. Now we're playing the control game, so we draw another Call of the Haunted, which I'm not going to complain too much about. We're going to normal the Anuk again, or the Uncle, as I used to call him. And then we're going to go ahead and find another copy. And have very simple, send it off to the graveyard. Now, here as it stands, we could go into the battle phase and swing in for 3,600 damage. Even more than that, potentially. So we're going to go right into the battle phase here. We're going to swing with everything that we have before we go into our main boss monster, which is going to be, of course, Stellarknight Trevere, which is going to allow us to reuse our Oasis of the Dragon Souls and our Call of the Haunteds. Very, very short of the OTK here. Very, very short. But we're going to go main phase 2. And we're going to go ahead and overlay into the Stellarknight Triver as probably our best bet here. And we can go ahead and summon it up here. And we're going to go ahead and use its effect to return everything. And then we're going to go ahead and detach here. It really doesn't make too big of a difference what we detach. I'm going to detach the Anuk since we already have another Deneb engraved. Now, granted, if you want to play it safe, you could detach another Deneb in case, in his instance, he had Call by the Grave. We could have multiple copies in there to have a nice target to revive with. Another thing we could do technically would be to go into Gravity Controller or something, but it's obviously not going to be needed here. And what we're going to do is just reset everything back in different positions, obviously. We could go actually into Stellarknight Constellar Diamond, as I think this card is a pretty decent floodgate against him. And that's where we'll end our turn, because it says, basically, while this card has Ixim Serum, neither player can send cards from the deck to the graveyard, and any card that returns from the graveyard to the hand is banished instead during either player's turn. When an opponent's dark monster activates affecting attachment from this card, negate the activation if you do destroy that card. So, a pretty good card to actually wind up having here against this particular matchup. He's going to activate Dark Lord Contact, push him a Dark Lord monster from his graveyard defense. That is completely fine. He's going to go for the Dark Lord of Pleasure. We have an Infinite Impermanence, and it seemed last time, I'm just going off based, what happened in that simple interaction. I'm assuming Dark Lords can probably do more. I have very little experience against the deck, but if we burn an Impermanence here, much like we burned our Judgment on it, we might actually still be in a very winning position. So yeah, that's just my thought process on this. And obviously, during the end phase, we can actually just negate it with the Stellarknight Diamond, which I might just actually do it to my man right here, is just go ahead and negate it and destroy it with Stellarknight Diamond. And I feel really sorry for my man right now. He actually got the almost like the actual perfect counter placed against him. Now, please do not quit. Thank the Lord. Thank the Dark Lord. All right, so against this particular matchup, I literally have no idea what to side in. So I'm gonna go ahead and do myself a favor and put in 3 evenly matched. I'm gonna drop a Dark Ruler. I'm gonna drop a Compulse and a Call by the Grave. We'll sort the deck and we'll go ahead and go into game 2. Now, like I said, we're gonna be playing against. I'm gonna try to get at least a meta matchup later on in following games, but at least setting the note for meta only to see if we can't fish out some meta decks to play against with this old-timey control deck and to see what we're capable of. Dark Lord Nostin hits the board. Discard 2 cards. You can discard 2 other cards, especially when, but then it says you can target 1 Dark Lord to our trap, apply that target's effect, and shuffle that target into the deck. So he wants to special Dark Lord from his grave in defense. I'm assuming that's what he wants to do here. Let me use my super special hotkeys. Which one is his grave? So he wants to revive Tezcatlipoca. Sure, that's fine. I don't see matching levels. If this, I saw the one in the grave was a level 9, and I was like, you know what? If the one on his field is a level 9, I probably don't want to let him revive it because that means VFD is coming. But linking into the Dark Lord Link. This card is very, very good. This card, I don't need to waste any time. This one I know for a fact I'm going to hit with the Impermanence, seeing that he's already committed a decent amount of resources to the play with only 1 card left in hand. We'll see. Our hand is not great. We do not have access to a Tellarknight, and if you may have guessed, not having access to a Tellarknight is not good. Drawing like Deneb or something, literally any Tellarknight would have been welcomed there. But we literally can't do anything. I'm going to actually hold this impermanence in our hand, and we're going to have to pass. It's just the one thing with this deck. It's very, very big shortcoming with Satellarknights. As fast as the game has sort of become in recent years, as opposed to when this deck originally released in Duelist Alliance, you know, if you don't see a Satellarknight within a turn or two, it's probably going to be a loss. Very little other cards in the deck do anything for the actual Satellarknight engine. It's not like we can draw a Satellarknight trap like Nova can summon one from the deck in a time of crisis such as we are in now, but we'll see. Luckily, we've had 2 impermanences for his Dark Lord Link, because that Link is very, very good. We draw Desires, so that this could potentially turn into you know, a Satellarknight, which would be pretty good. I'm just checking this to make sure it does not have a quick effect that we need to worry about. Hopefully it doesn't have a negate for this. That'd be very, very unfortunate. And we don't even pick up another Satellarknight off of that. But we do banish. We actually only banish 2 Satellarknights. Anti-Spell Fragrance, a Bridge, a Judgment Call. Not too bad. We banished another Desires, but we also drew another Desires, which is just absolutely hilarious. I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to end my turn. As good as a turn as that was, I think I got to give my mans a chance here. And see if he can even keep up with as good as a play as we had there, you know, Desires Pass. So he's going to be able to add back the Forbidden Chalice off the Condemned Witch. Very, very good card for Dark Lords going forward. Luckily, this card doesn't have too much attack. But it says during your opponent's main phase, quick effect, contribute this card special to a level 4 fairy monster from your deck except itself. So, I could be wrong, but he might be able to summon out a pretty decent floodgate with that, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll see what he ends up doing with this. It does have to be during the main phase. We are going to go into battle phase here. I am going to... This is quite the predicament I'm in here. Do I want to evenly match? Yeah, let's just evenly match here. Now, I was debating we hold the evenly and just slap a Dark Ruler on his field next turn to stop the Condemned Witch, because I think that could possibly summon like a barrier statue, I think. I'm not entirely sure. So he's going to set another back row. So he's opting to keep this one back row here. We actually draw into a copy of Altair. But if we burn this Desires, we're going to be pretty low on cards. Thing is, we can turn this Altair into any other Satellarknight with the Sky Bridge, which is really nice. So I'm actually going to go into battle phase and just swing for damage, because we're in a simplified game state. We need damage done here. I'm not going to chain this just yet. We'll get our damage in, and then we'll activate the Sky Bridge afterwards. It actually ends up being Necrofusion. Fusion summon Fusion monster reaction by banishing Fusion materials listed from your grave face down, but it cannot attack. Sure, that is completely fine. That is completely fine. Was not expecting that, but I'm pretty sure he's got some... He doesn't even have a full extra deck now that I look at it, which is a bit concerning. Summons Lucifer, Dark Lord of the Morning Star. We do not want to continue battle, obviously. But what we're going to do here is activate Skybridge on the Altair. And what we're going to do is go for a Nuck, and a Nuck is going to put that Deneb in the graveyard where it belongs, at least for our particular, you know, methods here. So we use that effect. We're going to send Deneb if he'll let that go through. I'm not even sure what this card... He has the Forbidden Chalice. That's completely fine. But this card says your opponent got to target fairy monster control with card effects. And we use one of the following effects of Lucifer, Dark Lord, Morningstar per turn. Only once that turn, if this card's fusion summon using Dark Lord, Morningstar's material, you control other cards. One turn, maybe it's quick pay, you pay 1,000 limit special one fairy monster from your hand or graveyard in defense position. So that is totally fine. He doesn't have any Dark Lords there to even use to begin with. I'm gonna burn this Desires here. We're in dire straits. We actually end up drawing Vega and a Nuck, which is very, very good. I'm going to set all of this. I'm going to keep the Dark Ruler in hand, and I'm actually going to pass there. Now, if we're lucky, he'll use an effect of something. It's Upstart Goblin. We don't want to negate the Upstart Goblin. We'll take the 1,000 life points currently, but he falls in the trap of using the effect of one of his monsters here, which looks like he's not going to, which is fine. I mean, it's the smart thing to do at this point anyways. So we'll take some damage there. We're not dead thanks to the Upstart. I mean, we're closer, you know, not as close to being dead. But luckily, this card doesn't do anything for him currently. So we're going to go ahead and normal Vega. Yes, and then we're going to summon out the Inuk. We're going to dump, of course, you might have guessed, another copy of Deneb to the grave. And we'll just throw that in there. Now, from here, we need to get access to Triver. Triver is our best boss monster. It'll help us be in a very, very good position if we can get this card out. But how are we going to get to Triver with only having 2 level 4s? Well, we're going to go into Batlamias. We do not need Dark Lure no more in this situation, so we're going to discard it off of Batlamias. Dark Lure more not Dark Lure more not really doing anything for us right now. So we're just going to hope he doesn't have some form of interrupt here. That'd be very, very bad. But we're going to go into Triver, or Triver, whatever you want to call him. We'll use the effect. We're not going to negate. That's going to go back to the extra deck. We're going to detach. We're going to snipe this last card out of his hand. Let's see what it is. It's Dark Lord Morningstar. And we're going to go into battle phase. And this is where Satellarknights absolutely excels. The simplified game state. Everything has been bounced back to their hand. In most cases, our floodgates are being reset to the field to be sprung on them at any given time. It's sort of like quicksand is like the best way that I can put it. So we're going to pass turn, hand it over to him. And we have a negate for his top deck. And once we send off Triver through Alpha, we can trigger its effect to summon a Tellarknight monster in a grave, which unfortunately we do not have access to Altair just yet, but it looks like he's going to surrender there, as there's probably not much else he can do. So that's it for our first match. Actually, surprisingly smooth. Our first match of the video. Not like I didn't make any edits. That was our actual legitimate first match. Granted, it was against Dark Lords. And that was a full match. I'm genuinely surprised. All right, so it looks like we got our next opponent here, which is all fine and dandy. I had the note set to meta only, so we'll see if this person was able to follow directions. A 14-card extra deck has me a little worried, but I see a Pendulum card, so I'm immediately relieved, but not so relieved in the fact that we are playing Satellarknights going second against a Pendulum deck. That's going to be a bit of a problem. I mean, unless we top deck our Dark Ruler no more, you know. We're probably going to be in a pretty rough spot unless we can sneakily get our way into a Triver, bounce everything back, and hopefully snipe the best card out of his hand and play the control game. That's really our only game plan currently with this particular setup that we've been given. So I don't know how long his combo is going to take, but we're going to hit that fast forward button. We'll see you guys in a moment. All right, so he's put up a board of big Pendulum monsters. Let's go ahead and try to entertain the thought of not scooping immediately by using Vega and Inuk. And we'll see. And there's that monster negation. And ladies and gentlemen, actually, I don't think there's a Jackal in his grave. But let's just check to make sure there is not. Even if there was, he had the negate for it. Either way. Now, we don't technically have to scoop just yet. We're going to set, get set, ready, get set, and we're going to pass it back. Reason I'm saying this, if we can bait out, per se, the Mighty Master and the Jackal, we can successfully call the Haunted for Vega to dump a Deneb, and then maybe have a comeback for next turn. We'll see. He's investing a bit into the play. He's going for the Daybreaker, the Magical Knight. Not really liking those odds too much right now. But really, all we can hope to do is to go ahead and burn this Compulsory. We're going to target the Mighty Master of Magic. We'll see what his response is to that. It's actually going to be good, which is kind of surprising. I mean, granted, he can just Pendulum summon it back. Yeah, no, we're just going to go ahead and scoop. We're not winning this one here. We're just going to go ahead and call it there. I was trying to entertain the thought, and apparently a bit too much to ask for. I'm going to drop one of those. The Dark Lure No Mores, I actually am kind of keen on keeping in, but I think I'm going to drop them for 3 copies of the Cosmic Cyclone. Actually, I might even scrap those along with the other Compulse for 3 copies of Sanctum and a copy of Artifact Scythe. I know we're playing Desires, but if we see it, we see it. And we only really need to see like fragrances and things like that as well to make this sort of an easier win. We do draw the Artifact Scythe, but I'm completely okay with that. We're going to start with the Deneb. We're going to use this to go ahead and grab Altair. And we're going to set Anti-Spell for it. I'm probably going to Desires here, actually. And we'll see if anything goes for that. We draw into another copy. We draw into a singular copy of Alpha, which is pretty good. We ended up banishing an order, but that's fine. I mean, what else could we ask for with this particular hand? You know, we have Anti-Spell Fragrance. We have Stellar Nova Alpha. We might as well set the Scythe as well, and we have a Call of the Haunted. And we have an Altair and Deneb in hand ready for next turn, which is really good. So, if, you know, the thing is, a lot of times setting up Deneb first turn is pretty okay. I should have probably activated this sooner, but it doesn't mean I can't activate it now. To sort of prevent him going through. But I was saying with the Deneb setup, it's usually best to to have like an alpha, you know, to go along with it, because you can make live, you know, your Call the Haunted's turn 1, because Anuk does such a better job at doing that, because obviously Deneb isn't putting anything into the grave. But there's Chronograph Sorcerer, and this is probably what I'm going to negate here, because Chronograph is pretty good, especially since it'll allow me to get 2 monsters out of the board. And we'll pick up a Sky Bridge, which is pretty nice. We still have a set Scythe here, which isn't doing anything. We have a Call of the Haunted, which I am going to use to revive the Deneb if we are given the chance to go ahead and Surge Vega. Vega next turn for Altair for Deneb for Anuk, and or for another copy of the Altair. But the thing with this, obviously our opponent is going to, and the thing with Anti-Spell Fragrance in general within Satellarknights, and what I think makes it so good, especially, I mean, same thing applies to Imperial Order, but I like Fragrance a little bit better standalone in Tellarknights, because there are some situations where, and he's actually just going to surrender right there. Okay, because I was going to say is next turn we're just going to bounce back all of his set spells. Alongside that are Anti-Spell Fragrances, and he's going to sort of have to wait it out once again. So I'm going to put Dark Lure No Mores in, and I'm probably also going to put some Cosmics in as well. I'm going to take out Call of the Haunted, because I don't think that card is too relevant in this particular matchup. I'm going to take out the Order if we're going second. We could also probably drop Judgments too for evenly matched, and just play the going second game, because that's really what we're going to have to do here. As you can see, with the right amount of floodgates and everything, if we get to go first and we get our setup, not only can we prevent the opponent from going off with their full complete combo, but we can sort of keep them in a soft lock. We might not need to OTK, because again, we can just continually have our Fragrance up. They're going to set their spells as they would. We're going to bounce those set spells back to the hand alongside our Fragrance, and next turn, flip up the Fragrance in the standby phase, and they're in the same position they were, and they have to wait another turn. So Anti-Spell Fragrance with this deck technically becomes, in its own right, a copy of Imperial Order. And it looks like he's going to end his turn there, which is not the greatest. We have Evenly, we have Dark Lure, we have Cosmic. There's, well, one thing's for sure. We need to get rid of some of his cards. We don't want to leave a monster negate on the field if we can help it. What I'm going to do is actually just go battle phase, end battle phase. We'll throw the evenly matched out, just because. And if he keeps one of his spells or traps, we can just hit it with the Cosmic. But I imagine he's going to keep Jackal King, as he would. We're going to go ahead and do this. We're going to see if we can draw pretty good off of this. We draw into Altair, which is nice, because again, we can just exchange the Altair for a copy of the much better copy of the Anuk. But we really don't want to use the Anuk, granted, because if we do, he's probably going, we can be sure that he's probably going to negate it. We just need to really focus on playing the control game at this point. I'm going to actually go for Deneb, considering the worst case scenario that he's probably going to negate this. So let's try and use this. we'll see what happens. So he is going to burn the negate there as I expected. So we still have a live call the Haunted for next turn. I could have Dark Rulered, but I just don't want to invest that much into the play just to turn off one Jackal King. Granted, maybe, I don't know, Dark Ruler no more, like, Forbidden Chalice would have been a much better card in this specific situation, but it doesn't mean, per se, like, you know, Chalice couldn't also be good, but I think in a general scheme, Dark Ruler no more is something I am trying out, and I think it is a pretty good coverall, but maybe something a little less, you know, rolled back for this deck particularly might be something like Forbidden Chalice. So he's going to activate Reflection. That's fine. The counters are building up. This card in the scale, I believe, has an effect. Move 3 spell counters on this card, special on this card from depends on 1 monster from your hand. Okay, then you place a spell counter on. So what I'm going to do here is we're going to try to do the old bait and switch. We're going to activate Call. We're going to target Deneb, obviously. We're not going to use Cosmic. This is going to bring this back. We'll use the effect. He's going to go for the negate. I can imagine. I mean, you might as well. He's in a controlling situation. So he's going to try to Jackal. Sorry for my phone dinging. But we're going to respond with the Tellarnova Alpha. And we're going to turn that card off. And he's actually just going to quit right there. So sorry for doing that to you, my man. But Satellarknights taking the win against Pendulums. Yeah, that was actually... This episode went way better than expected. But I wouldn't expect it to go like that all the time. Yeah. I am going to call it there because I actually do need to be live streaming within a few minutes. I kind of got to recording this video a little bit later in the day. By the way, check out my live stream if you haven't. I stream every Sunday and Monday at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You should come check it out if you haven't already. But yeah, the deck overall performed pretty well in those two matchups. I think I was able to get the general point across. Again, we will be revisiting Satellarknights in the future, so do not worry if you didn't get your fix of Satellarknights in this particular video. We did get two pretty okay matches. The last one was kind of a bit of a back and forth die roll dependent matchup, but we actually did come out on top. But yeah, that's going to do it for this video of the testing sessions. Thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Please be sure to leave a like, possibly share it with a friend if you enjoyed the video that much. And yeah, as always, guys, I'm Kill signing out. We'll see you guys in the next one. And special thanks to my Divine level channel members here on YouTube, Academic Thick, Travis Harris, and Zors.